Good morning. Happy Thursday. Let's get started. Green spot, whenever you see it, means you have to write something. So, over the past two activities, you read an excerpt from Uprising, a work of historical fiction that explores the events at the Triangle Factory. Today, you'll take what you learned about the text and use it to develop a claim about the main character, Yetta. You will then write a 3-paragraph essay that develops that claim and supports it with evidence. So you guys are learning to write 3-paragraph essays very, very quickly, unlike when we spend probably like 2-3 days on them. Now you're getting them in like one day. So this is something that's might seem like a lot of work at first, but it's actually something that's going to be really helpful for you because sometimes we spend a little bit too much time on our essays. So this is good for us to kind of get that practice. So read the objective summary of the text to review in preparation for your essay. Then follow the directions in the slides to develop your claim. Next, identify and explain evidence that supports your claim, and then finally open the essay prompt document and write your essay. So if you need translated directions, they're right here. Click the link, it pops right up, and there are your directions in whatever language you need. All right, let me move my face. So today you will write an essay that uses evidence from Uprising, a work of historical fiction by Margaret Peterson Haddix that discusses the events of the Triangle Factory fire. You can find the text here, click right here, literally right there. Refer back to the text to help develop and support your claim. That is not a suggestion. That is an absolute 100% mandatory thing you need to do. You are not going to be able to write an essay without looking at the text that you're writing the essay about, okay? So what is literary analysis? This is your background information. Today's writing assignment asks you to complete a literary analysis essay. A literary analysis essay is an interpretation of a piece of literature. Your claim presents your interpretation of the text, and you develop that claim with evidence that you cite and explain. You are being asked to analyze the motivations of Yetta, the main character in the story. Follow the familiar structure on the slides that follow to help you build your literary analysis essay. Move my face again. I keep getting in the way. There we go. So the objective summary. Remember, an objective summary is a summary that does not include bias, personal opinions, anything like that. It is simply the facts of what happens in the story. So the objective summary. Story focuses on the experience of Yetta, a woman who works at the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. She's having a conversation with her friends when she sees the fire start. She jumps into action and along with the man Jacob finds help to get workers out of the building and away from the fire. As the story ends, she makes the decision to go back up to the stairs to save her fellow workers on the 9th floor. All right. So this week you read an excerpt from a work of historical fiction about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. God, such a tongue twister. Today you will write a short essay presenting your ideas. Read the prompt, and in the green space below that follows, paraphrase the prompt in 2 or 3 sentences. So this is where we're doing that breaking down the prompt stage. We usually use Cub. If you would like to use Cub, I would love that. Circle the things, or you can like highlight them or whatever. Circle, underline, break it down. If you would like to use Cub, feel free to do so. As we learned this week, Uprising is told from the third-person limited point of view. The narrator is not in the story, but can see the inside the character, Yetta's mind. And the text is told from Yetta's perspective. So the third person means that it's outside of the story. And then limited means that they can see inside only one of the character's minds, not every single character's mind. The narrative follows Yetta from the start of the fire through her attempted escape. The text ends with the line, "She turned around and began clattering up the stairs." So why did Yetta climb back up the stairs to warn her fellow workers? What was her motivation? Use evidence from the text to support your claim. So here is where you're going to write a breaking down of the prompt. What does the prompt want you to do? What question does it want you to answer specifically? You're going to break it down. During the last activity, you began to formulate a response to the questions found in the prompt, meaning yesterday's activity. Review your work from the last activity and write your response to the prompt below. This response will become your claim in today's writing activity. So if I were you, I would open up a new tab, I would go back into Classroom, I would go to yesterday's activity, and I would open up yesterday's activity and have it available the entire time that you're working on today's. That way you can go back and forth. You don't have to keep opening it up and all that kind of stuff. I would keep it the entire time that you're working today. Why did Yetta climb back up the stairs to warn her fellow workers? What was her motivation? Use evidence from the text to support your claim. So your claim, Yetta climbed back up the stairs because. All you need to do, finish that claim. Okay? So you're going to finish it based on what you know, the evidence that you have already thought about and gathered, and your work from yesterday's activity. So return to the evidence you gathered on slide 14 of day 2. Day 2 is yesterday. For those of you who might be confused because they're like, Wednesday, that was day 3. That's day 2 because we weren't here Monday. On the next 2 slides, you will be asked to choose 2 pieces of evidence and explain how that evidence supports your claim. Okay? At the top of the slide, write the claim from the previous slide, slide 6. Copy your chosen evidence onto the slide and explain how the evidence supports your claim. So that's explaining what you're going to do for the next slides. So it might sound confusing right now, but I'll show you. So at the top of the slide, you write your claim, you copy your chosen evidence, and then you explain it. At the top of the slide, you write your claim, you copy your chosen evidence, and then you explain it. If this box is not big enough for the evidence that you chose, it's okay, because it will expand as your evidence gets bigger. Or you can make the font smaller. That's perfectly fine too. I have read the text, so I know what evidence is inside of it. So you don't have to worry about making the evidence nice and big for me to read. And then you're doing the evidence supports the claim because blah, blah, blah. Remember, the explanation, in my personal opinion, is the most important part. And I'm pretty sure in most writing teachers' personal opinions. It shows why your evidence supports your claim. If you get to the explanation part and you cannot think of the reason why your evidence supports your claim or how your evidence relates to what you're trying to say at all, chances are you probably need a better piece of evidence. So the thing that's funny about writing is that this part here is your own words. So this is an idea that you have come up with from reading the text. There is a reason why this idea has come into your head. Something within the text has actually told you that this is what you need to write when you write your claim. The tricky part is finding out what part of the text actually is what's telling you this information. So this is something that a lot of the times really probably is going to be pretty accurate because it's something that you have gotten specifically from the text in your own words, right? This is the part that doesn't always add up because sometimes we get an idea from a text, but we're not sure where that idea came from. This is where you figure out whether or not this matches up with this because you are starting to explain. And if you can't figure out how to explain it, you need to understand that this is probably not the right thing for you to be putting in here. Okay? This is stuff we've talked about before, but. And then for the next slide, you're doing the exact same thing with a different claim, different evidence, different explanation. So you're picking 2 pieces of evidence, or you're creating 2 claims, you're having 2 pieces of evidence, and you're supporting both of those pieces of evidence. And they're all going to go back to answer the question of why did Yetta climb back up the stairs to warn her fellow workers, and what was her motivation? So both of these claims have to answer those questions. They can answer both of them together, or they can answer each of them separately, whatever you feel will have the writing flow better. So now you will take the claim you created and the evidence you identified and write 3 paragraphs. If you did these 2 slides to your absolute best ability, writing this essay is as easy as copying and pasting. Okay? Open the document titled Grade 7 ELA Week 25, Day 3, Uprising Prompt. I'm going to give it to you. You're going to get your own copy. Found in your Google Classroom and following the directions and follow the directions to complete your essay. Okay, so I'll actually show you. So this is what your document is going to look like. So your introduction is going to just be the claim that you wrote in your slides and like summarizing the text and all of that kind of stuff. And then body paragraph is going to go here. Conclusion is going to go here. So the body paragraph, one second. All right, so this is what confused me. It says choose one or both pieces of evidence. That is an option that is up to you. But I often think that when we have more than one piece of evidence, our focus gets a little bit lost. So in my personal opinion, I think the best thing for you to do would be to choose whichever of the two pieces of evidence you think is the strongest. Because again, it's very difficult to find evidence that really genuinely supports your claim. So if you have two and maybe one supports it really well and the other one doesn't, but you include both of them, then your writing doesn't really make a lot of sense. So we want to make sure that we are including the piece of evidence that really truly supports our claim. If you did that option where I said the first slide can answer the first part of the question, the second slide can answer the second part, that's when you would include both. Okay, but if you have your claim as pretty much the same thing with two different pieces of evidence, I would think about which piece of evidence is a little bit stronger. Okay, so you're going to write your body paragraphs here, and it's as easy as just submitting it because you're all going to get a copy of this. So then after you write the essay, if you feel like you want to challenge yourself a little bit, so actually not after you're writing your essay, while you're writing your essay, if you feel like you want to challenge yourself a little bit, think about including these words that we have been talking about for the past couple of days in there, okay? Mischievous, scorn, goading, marvel, clattering, okay? It's an extra challenge. You don't need to do it, but if you feel like it, go ahead. All right, that is it for today. You have a wonderful day. What things do I always say? How do I forget what I always say every single day? Attendance check-in is mandatory. Use the live questions doc. Try to sign up for today's meet at 10 o'clock if you have not already. Okay, have a good day.